Well, we move on from the wide receiver position to another position that's going to get the football in the air, the tight ends. Bobby DePietro sitting here with me, starting tight end for the Lafayette Leopards. Bobby, good to be back on campus, I'll bet. Good to put the pads back on.
Yeah, absolutely. I was here all summer. We had a lot of guys up here all summer getting some work in the meeting room, but it's good to be finally back on the field and putting some work in.
Yeah, now you kind of bounced a little bit. You tight end, and then a couple years ago you were a defensive end. I'm sure you're kind of settling in right now to the offense on the tight end position, and there's a lot expected of you from Coach Fine. That's not a position that he really ignores.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first moved to tight end, they really took it slow with me, helped me really learn the game, the footwork and all that. But obviously we have a huge void to fill this year in Brian. So I'm going to have to really step up, take care of that a lot. But we have some younger guys that are really good and really showing some stuff here that are really going to have to fill.
So you have some good depth, not only from the pass catching part of it, but from the blocking part of it. And I'm sure that was probably the easy part for you, is to get down the inline blocking, but then get the routes and things like that down. Running routes, is that something obviously you like to do? What's your favorite route? Obviously, a lot of seam routes. Coach Fine likes that seam route off the play action. Is that something you like?
I mean, being 260 pounds, I prefer the shorter routes.
Okay.
But you know, I embrace anything.
Well, he's gonna send you down the seam. You know he's gonna do that. And the nice thing is, once you catch it, they're smaller guys deeper, so you get to run over some of them. What are some of the things that maybe you work with Coach Clayton? Now that's something you got to get involved with too. The tight end is obviously that fifth blocker. You got to be, or sixth blocker. You got to get out there and do some of those things. How often do you work with the O-line as opposed to the tight ends?
This year, at least in the meeting rooms, we've tried to separate ourselves a little bit as tight ends just so we can get a little more individual work.
Okay, because there are a lot of you.
Right. But Coach Clayton puts a lot of faith in me being at the point of attack. You know, he told me he wants me to be at the point of attack in like 90% of the plays this year. Okay. So they're putting a lot of faith in me. And I have the confidence that I'm going to be able to do that and be the guy. But
and we saw you at the point of attack last year in 150. I mean, a lot of those plays were going right over you. And Brian Keller just running, Ross Sherman crazy. And we're going to have to run the football this year. So that's going to be important, especially early in the year, new running backs. And is that some emphasis maybe that Coach Clayton is putting in there this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, losing so many offensive linemen from last year that were extremely good players, we have to have young guys step in. And that's going to be essential because every year you lose a couple guys here and there to nagging injuries. So, we're going to have to really mesh as a team. Just kind of get some cohesion on the offensive line to get the ball moving.
And I'm sure you're all pulled together for Brian. It's going to be a year that we're dedicating to him. Nobody better than Bobby DePietro.